Good afternoon and welcome to the Ōtorohanga Community Board meeting for August the 4th. I will do the words of wisdom today because I didn't ask anyone else. Great communities don't just happen. They're built by those who care, who show up and who listen. And I just wanted to thank everyone around the table for showing up, listening and caring for the last 3 years. And this is probably our third to last meeting if there's something on the next agendas. So moving on. Oh, do I need to move that far? No. Okay. So there's no apologies, but Tori is joining us online. And then we've got our public forum. We've got June. So welcome, June. Pop up to the, yep. I don't have any paperwork. Sorry.
Because I've come impromptu from knitting class. So I have spoken to you, Max, about it, early days. And has anybody here seen a copy of a write-up on the community centre, Ōtorohanga Community Centre?
I've seen your email, obviously.
No, it's it's an attachment to
Yeah. No.
And so there is one in council. Kara was sending it to all the MPs and different other ones have, sort of inquired about it. And it's the Wintec building down there, which is on the market. And I believe that it would be a fantastic community centre for Ōtorohanga. Now, there was a feasibility study done on making community space available in Ōtorohanga, and it had consultants do a feasibility study, and they came back with, there was plans even of building on the back of the library and doing the support house.
Sorry, Joan, yes, everyone in here has seen that, if that's what you're talking about. Yeah, sorry, I thought it was an attachment that you had done, sorry. Everyone's seen the town concept plan, yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm not aware of what you all are really, but the point I'm getting to, that came up at 5.5 mil for that in future, but this building is now available. The guy is talking 800,000, which has come down luckily, but I mean, I think it can be negotiated even further down. And it's purpose built for community centre. And in Ōtorohanga, in my experience over the last few years, there is not one place that anybody in Ōtorohanga and a little bit further out can actually go to find out everything or to be part of something, a group. It could cater to any needs, art needs, youth needs, Elevate could be in there. So they could be like the face of it. At present, to see a JP, you have to walk through the support centre and through to some huts, like, those renter cabin things in the back. They could be in that environment. There's a lot of things that would start to go into it, and people start to make it into their home of, So I think it starts to, like, I've done this in the past in Auckland suburbs, and you start to get wave effects because, as I say, it's a great spot for youth to have some gatherings because it's the main street. They're not off on a little residential part somewhere. And I mean, it's got McDonald's across the road and these sorts of things, but it starts to wave out and affect who knows who, and in a police sort of start to notice some things of improvements and stuff. So what I put and the paperwork that I sent in was just, I really am passionate about the fact that this building has come on the market. I have no interest financially in it, but it's come on the market and it's like right there with its arms open to the main street. It could improve, it could make a bit of a touristy spot look wise from the outside, because if you imagine, you'll be all familiar with that building, and when you look at it, you can imagine the frontage being following on the Kiwiana type of vibe and cultural Maori things on there. You'd get artists here, local artists here, that would just probably love to take ownership of proposing what their view would be. But I mean, you do come down to the fact that it's dollars, but it's definitely a lot less dollars than what was being chucked around by council, and it's a lot more presentable.
Thank you, Joan. Because we are a community board, which is, this is our third to last meeting of this triennium, and next year is, well, after October, it's a whole new board. Like none of these faces were around the table.
None of you.
I might be if I'm re-elected, but there's no guarantees. Yeah, so what I would suggest to us as a board is that we make a note for the incoming board that you presented on this, so that it's, so the new board coming in knows about your idea. It is a cool idea.
Well, the thing is,
but the 5 million also is a very long-term project. It wasn't going to happen next year or the year after.
Well, this is the problem, though, isn't it?
Yeah. So
whereas this is right there, already set up for public, right across the road from the Ōtorohanga Club, right next door to the support house, and the ramifications on the community are amazing.
Yeah.
Because this is our community centre.
Yeah.
You know.
So so what I'd say is, we'll pass it on to the incoming board, and then I'll just put it out to the floor if anyone's got any questions that they want to ask you, because our public forum, I forgot to tell you at the start, you get 5 minutes, but
I get that, but
I'm giving you longer, so
I'll move on for as long as I get. You know, I'll take what I can.
Yeah, no, that's cool. So does anyone have any questions? Joe?
Hi, Joan. I'm Joe Butcher. How are you?
Good.
Good. Through you, Chair, just wondering, you're not alone in your thoughts, obviously. Do you have a group or an organisation or anything or with friends that, you know?
I think I've got a few friends, but I don't have.
No, in relation to how this came about or anything like that? No, you just...
No, because I have a background of being involved in council, being the person behind an MP. I have been and established a few community hubs and set them running. My natural thing when I got here is looking for those key things that make a place, and it's just natural for me to do that. And I'm thank you.
Thank you. That explains a lot of where your thoughts are coming from. Thanks.
Right. Anyway, it's not just a daydream that I.
Does anyone else have anything? No. So thanks for coming and sharing with everyone. And like I said, we'll pass it on to the incoming board. so
Yeah.
that they can think about it and maybe, yeah.
Obviously, Max, you belong to the other group as well, but you're not standing this time. But is there any chance of somebody just igniting a bit of a spark on something without going, oh, honey?
There's probably a couple of things, June, from where I'm sitting, and obviously I'm not standing again.
Yeah.
We're getting absolutely hammered as local government for spending money on nice to haves at the moment.
Yes,
And it's, yeah, I know it's a yes, but and I do share the sentiments. I absolutely support you, and I think the Wintec building is an ideal place. And I've probably been a bit reluctant to progress anything forward as a consequence of the fact that I'm stepping down, and we're getting, it's going to be half the council's going to be new again as well. So yeah, look, it's a great idea. I'm just fully aware of the optics on councils at the moment. It's interesting that Waitomo District Council has been stated as one of the 5 councils in New Zealand that can meet the rates caps, which is kind of funny considering they've got some of the highest rates in New Zealand and they can fit inside there. So we're just trying to negate our way through this government while they're still in power. And in saying that, I've been through 3 or 4 changes in government where the well-being's looking after our community.
Changes.
They've been in, they've been out, they've been in, they've been out again now.
Yeah, yeah.
Look,
There's there, you know, like even on the news, there's stuff going on about community, you know, holding that centre of community. So, you know, it's a matter of trying to find out who is passionate about that.
Sure.
And that, because if it goes as an arts, youth, cultural, then, you know, there must be a little bit of something there for these things. And then do we ever go for stakeholders in a project?
Through the chair, if I'm talking. Yeah, look, we've done some really, really extensive community consultation and leading up to the concept plan to see whether what the community wanted. And at that point, and I'm sure it still holds true, is that there's no desire for us to go out there and get a dedicated building for that, and just making use of existing facilities, which is what the desire was. Going forward in terms of our town concept plan and recreational reserve strategy and the likes, there's money in the budget there, but it's drip fed into ensuring that we've got financial sustainability. In saying that, the likes of buying a building, the council buying that building, that there would be loan funded, so it wouldn't have as big an impact on rates. So like the chair said, it's something that could be passed through to the next triennium that may get some serious momentum there.
Yeah, yeah, hopefully. I'll just keep buying lotto tickets in the meantime.
We all will.
Thank you.
Thank you, June.
Thanks, Joan.
Sorry, I was a bit off the cuff because I didn't expect to be here. Thanks.
So we have no late items. Does anyone have any conflicts of interest to declare? No. And confirmation of our previous minutes. Do I have a mover and a seconder? Pete and soon to be Councillor Butcher. Is there any matters arising from those minutes? No? Okay, we'll move on to our information report, item number 37. Welcome to the hot seat, Jared. The Ōtorohanga Girl Guides Hall maintenance update to July 2025.
Hello everyone, through you, Chair. I'll take my report and just give a little brief overview on the main part in there. You'll see in 2018 we had a assessment done through WSP Opus. This was a high level assessment. It's not an evasive assessment, it's all done through site. They don't pull wall linings off, they don't go under the floor. You'll see in 4.3, we've slowly been working through the recommendations from that report, starting with the the more major ones like the replacement of the roof where water was getting into different parts of the building and dripping under. We've since had a builder's report where we've found that the subfloor area is extremely dry. The subfloor is in good condition. They've also repaired a lot of the rot around windows and things. We had to repaint because, as you would have seen in the report below, the yellow really stood out once the medical centre was completed. So we worked with the medical centre to tie in those colours to them, which is the way they were done. And so hand over to any questions.
Steve.
Oh, thank you, Chair. Jared, you're saying there's a seismic report coming up in August, is that correct?
Yes, we have got our consultant on board. I've signed the agreement, so we're about to start that work now. I've sent through all the preliminary drawings and that we have on folder. He has a look at those before he comes on site, so he's familiar with the building and the construction of the building before he comes on. And from that, we will get where we sit on that earthquake scale. I can't explain the calculation because I don't know it myself.
Yeah, no, it's just that if it comes in not too flash, then we've got some problems or big decisions to make, I presume, as to whether to bowl it, and rebuild it, or bowl it and not rebuild it. And
that is always worst case scenario, but talking with our building inspectors and that, they've had a look at the initial construction, which is why it's never been alerted as a high risk building. So it would be a shock if it came in that way, but I'm also not a building inspector either.
yeah, true. I'd see because it's 2019 report, I see that it's a lot of those calculations for replacement value would be well out, I would think, by now, considering construction costs have gone up probably 20+% in the last 5 years. So
yeah, those values won't be relevant anymore, but that just at the time gives you that idea.
And just one other question, what's the usage of that building? Is it days per year? What would it be used roughly?
I can't tell you. I think you're probably very least 2 or 3 days a week, but it's not all day use. A lot of it's after school stuff. There's a couple of users at a midday, but generally an hour or two. There's not all day events happening consistently.
I would assume there's a minimum charge for using that too, is it, or is it just is it used as a community free?
No, there's charges for it. It would be on our website. I don't know them off the top of my head. I don't handle that side of it.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
Probably did, yeah. I can't remember everything, Katrina. Yeah, thank you.
Joe, through you, Chair. Hi, Jared. So I asked for just this information because I've been at the hall a few times recently. And at the moment, other than within the Ōtorohanga urban area, the other halls that are out there are private, so to speak, and are used. So this hall has been used quite often. Yeah, I mean, you say it's like 2 or 3 times a week, not all day, that's correct. There is now a charge for it. I don't think initially there was, but I understand there are now charges, which is a good thing. The only thing being is, I got a little report from one of the regular users of that hall, Melissa O'Brien, and when I went there for the first time in a very long time, 2 weeks ago, for people to use it, our community hall, I think it's a little bit of a disgrace on the inside in the sense, and not conducive. The windows don't close properly. It is very, very cold in there with very old bar heaters up on the walls. The curtains are all just broken. and you can't even close them properly if you want to make it a bit warmer. But what would be the sense of closing the curtains when the windows don't close properly? The windows don't close properly in the toilets. So I asked Melissa, for her that's used it regularly and pays, and yes, she may not pay a huge amount because we are very good with the hall. It's at a certain rate, which makes it usable for all community people. She said that she has asked the council a few times, and she said the curtains are broken and don't all close, and I saw that. Windows don't close properly and sometimes leaves puddles after heavy rain. Also after heavy rain, there's a lot of condensation in the room, wet walls and sticking floor. Toilets recently overflowed, leaked after heavy rain. Heaters are ancient. It's freezing in the winter and way too hot in the summer. So heat pumps would help a lot. And also there are no handy towels for drying hands. There's a little tiny bucket that you would use for a mop that someone's put near the hand basin to put paper, Admittedly, I don't know if it's their responsibility to put paper towels in when they are using it. I'm not sure, because there are people that also hire this place if they want to for a birthday or a parties, things like that. When I went into the kitchen, there was a tiny little fridge on the bench. I don't know if it's applicable that in a community centre you meant to have a bigger kitchen. I don't know. Bigger fridge, tiny little fridge on the bench. The stove looked okay, but all the windows didn't look like they closed properly again. I know they are those louver type windows. Surely they could at least be fixed so that they closed. I've had louver ones out at a batch at Kawhia and had to fix them, and they got them closing properly. So I'm just thinking in relation to the hall being used for dancing, for people's parties, kids' parties, whatever it is hired out to, that just in the meantime, in our town concept plan, this is our community core, which is really quite shocking on the inside and not, in some ways, not safe to be in. I had to ask council 3 times to remove rubbish that was in front of a fire exit door that was from someone using it for a party, and they just left it there. It took 2 weeks to move it, and people were using the hall in that 2 weeks, and if there had been an emergency, they would have tripped over the rubbish going out the fire exit door. So I'm just wondering if in the meantime, and it was a suggestion I thought, if council's having a little bit of a problem maintaining this building because it needs this report for the seismic to see whether the building is to carry on or not. In the meantime, you're asking people to rent this building and it's not really up to standard. And I don't know if the board, this is me thinking, that the board with their property fund may think that the council needs help to upgrade that building just to a certain standard, not a huge amount of money, but a certain standard so that people can use it and they're fairly warm. We're not saying, if you want to charge them a power amount, yes, it might go up, I don't know, but air conditioning is meant to be better than 3 bar heaters on the wall that have only got 1 bar or 2, which look like they were the 1970s. Yeah, anyway, that's how I feel. Thank you.
Through you, your chair, I can tick off some of those.
Awesome.
Keep my memory. Heating, we've looked into it. The problem with the heating there, to get heat pumps and the size of the heat pumps, the mains coming into that building are not big enough and will not handle it. So the cost is not just a heater, it's new. Also, the lines are overhead, which is very hard to get lines company. They generally want to put everything underground if we replace that. Moisture on the inside, you will never get rid of that in a concrete block building. If you can probably make a lot of money somewhere. The windows, we can look into repairs, see what condition they are. It was noted in that first report about the joinery is old. You can louvers, you can get them to close, but they'll never close completely and stop that. We've recently just put some new cleaning equipment in there, so I'll talk to some people. Users may have, it's a problem with the community hall. You put something new that's easily taken, they walk. The kitchen, you don't want a big fridge, or you add to a lot of running costs. An empty fridge is one of the most expensive things you can run. They need to have stuff in to keep cool, but you'll also find that people will be leaving a lot of stuff. There's more staff time cleaning it out. It was a small fridge, so people, if they're having something, they can put some milk in for a cup of tea, things like that. It's not made for that kitchen can't handle major catering anyway. And I think that's the main ones I've covered off there.
Okay.
Curtains, can we get the curtains fixed so they're all shut?
I've been talking with another staff member. That was our next one on our list. The first one was our toilets weren't flushing properly. So like everything, we can't just go and spend the big chunk of money straight away. So that's one of the things that was next that Sharon had brought up that we're working on next. We wanted the toilets first. They were starting to get very old and deteriorated.
So once this report's done and you bring it back, when you do bring it back with costs to the next community board, because I can't see it happening with us, will you add in the thing about the mains, the power? Because that cost needs to, if that hall is staying for a community hall, we have to have heating, so that has to go into the cost. Is the mains. You can't like do up a hall and not have it warm in winter or cool in summer. So I would suggest that that goes as part of it.
I mean, the maintenance things, I think they're quite simple things we can look into. But I think ultimately on the back end of this, a seismic assessment will be a strategic discussion around the future of that hall. There's never been any strategic direction to invest heavily in that hall. It's only been get it waterproof and keep it going. But simple things, the maintenance things, I completely understand that. We can deal with that. I think before we start moving into significant costs, we need to have that discussion around the future of the hall, and that might come off the back of the seismic assessment.
But you can't think about the future without costs either.
Exactly, and we've got some costs sitting in that original report. So what I suggest is, as you've said, Chair, is that we wait on that report to see what it says, because that could feed into a whole lot of other discussions prior to spending any serious money on it. But we can definitely look into those maintenance issues, windows, curtains, things like that. Would that be what you're thinking? Yeah.
Through you, Chair, is there any time frame with the seismic report?
Through you, Chair, yep, we should be having a site visit either this week or next week, and then it's probably a 2 to 3 week process for him to then finish that report and get it through to us. We then check it and then the report gets finalised.
Yeah. Yeah, I just thought that, you know, and I know it's which comes first, the chicken or the egg, and the thing being it's a community hall, and Kawhia has their community hall and it's in good, you know, it's in a good standard. And I do know that in relation to the town concept plan, we might not have this anymore and we might have somewhere else. But if it's going to take another 2 to 3 years, at least we could just fix the windows and let the people know who are hiring it that this is what it is at the moment, and so that they're not thinking that it's going to be there forever and they're renting a hall, even though they've decided they like the price of the rent. They're still saying, oh my gosh, it's freezing in here, even the people that are, you know, there doing the classes or whatever. So yeah, that's what I was thinking. Thanks, Jared.
No worries. Any other questions?
Anyone else? No. Thanks, Jared.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Just here, in terms of like what the report says from WSL, what Joe was just saying, it does make you wonder how long you've been a dead horse, really, isn't it? And certainly the investment in an old building, which has got all the things you talked about, but the cost of updating the electricity there would be almost too restrictive to make it even worth your while, I'd imagine. And so then you kind of go back to June's conversation, and I would suggest, I don't know if you can dance in the Wintec building or not. I'm not a dancer, never have been.
Yeah, the
But
dancers like the wooden floor and.
yeah, but that main meeting room, if you want to call it that, in the Wintec building would be a very similar size to the hall, wouldn't it? Right, food for thought. And that'd be loan funded, eh, Mark? If you bought the Wintec building?
I haven't got any finance people here. Generally, capital investment is loan funded, yes.
So when you look at it in terms of the cost of the upgrades on the Girl Guide Hall versus loan funding is $800,000 or $750,000 building, there may not be much in it for the first few years.
Cool. Thank you, your worship. Thanks, Joe. We don't need to move that, eh? Oh, can I have a mover and a seconder? Or Jared's report, please. Move Joe, seconded Steve. All in favour? Aye. And then we move on to board updates. Start with Kat. Nothing, Joe?
Yeah, through you, Chair, just wanted to say that good feeling thing. One of a community member that's part of the Kai Forest, Fiona Prescott, has been using, I don't know if you call it PD anymore, or what do you call it? Yeah, still call it PD. Or community, what do they call it? Community service, yeah, CS. She has gone out of her way and has engaged with that organisation, and they have been doing work around the Rotary and maybe a bit of the Bob Horsfall Park, which has been really awesome, starting to do some clearing up in there. So yeah, that's really cool.
Troy, do you have anything?
Yeah, I just have an update around service requests. So I've mentioned it as well to everybody on the board, but I put through a service request a little while ago, and I think now mine is starting to get sorted, but I'm just putting a bit out there that, like, if mine took so long to get sorted, are there others that are getting missed? So it's my understanding that when you put one on Anteno, it then gets taken off and actioned. But I had called customer service to ask when that was happening, and it had been a month and it hadn't been pulled off Anteno yet. So yeah, that's pretty much all I had a question around.
Thanks, Troy. I'll get Mark to follow that up with customer service. Hey, Mark. Steve?
Yeah, nothing official, but I'd just like to mention, I've mentioned this privately to quite a few people about, not last Saturday before, my wife took a photograph of a pig skin and pig head that draped over the fence by the walkway off the State Highway 3 bridge just south of town there. It's not a good look, and I wasn't too sure who to get hold of at the time, but I rang the after hours number because it was a Saturday lunchtime, and I got hold of a lady so I've since found out it was Palmerston North, who had no clue about basically where we were or what I was even ringing about. It's, this sort of thing is, as I said, is not a good look if you've got pig skins and hanging over by our walkway, which we're all very proud of, but and right next to the playground, it's just not good. But I was a little bit annoyed with the service from the call centre, basically after hours number. I understand there has to be an after hours number because nobody's sitting here waiting for phone calls all 24/7. But it ended up being that Councillor Dow went down the next morning because he saw it. So it was there all afternoon, Saturday night, and he went and got his ute and picked it up and took it away. Now I've got no feedback until about Wednesday from council on it. And when I mentioned that it had been picked up, it was just, oh, fine, okay. And that was that. But, you know, and this is not isolated. I spoke to Dom Fortis, who's works for the council, and he said he's seen others that are like this as well around town in the past. So, it's a little bit of a problem, but really something needs to be done about it. Well, if they are found done quickly, I mean, I understand it was a Saturday, but still, running around trying to find somebody to sort it's a little bit difficult. And when you have to basically go and do it yourself, as in Councillor Dow, I don't think it's really good enough, but something we can work on hopefully to the future for these sorts of things, especially at the weekends. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. Pete?
Yeah, it's I guess a bit of a pipe dream. We love our walkway, and we're very, as Steve said, we're very proud of it. And Karen and I've used it a lot. The other day we were on there with our grandson on his bicycle, and on the downhill at the bottom end of town, going underneath the State Highway 3 railway bridge. Because water runs downhill and has done for all eternity, and because it takes the earth, the gravel with it, perfectly natural. There's a groove there, and poor Asher came a hell of a cropper on that. Now it has been worked on since he did that. Since that fall has, just at the time I thought, and it'll be for the next board, and it may never happen, and there may not be funding and so on. But I just thought, what are the chances of just on the hills putting cement? There are two places where concrete goes over it. Just even if we did one, even if they were able to do one hill 1 year and just work through it slowly, just on the hills, the gravel on the top is perfect, no problem. But just on the hills, it might be worth it. We're not going to get it done in the next 3 months, but just the possibility of those, because it's always going to be a problem, and it's nobody's fault. It's gravity, it's whatever. I don't know what the funding will be, but and even if just did one, there's one up at the caravan site.
Yes.
One down under the thing, one up.
Ask away.
Down, one up.
That's a bad one.
There's probably 6, and they do. They just get, and so maybe if it just one a year or whatever, there was just funding to do one cement to concrete the hills one at a time would be awesome. But I don't know if it's possible. Just a thought.
Anything's possible. I think it's a great idea. So it's something that needs to also go forward to the next community board.
That's all. Thanks.
Thanks.
Chair, can I just say something else? I don't know if anybody else had heard about the assault that happened down there. No, I mean, no, I know, I understand that, but we're going on about how proud we are of our walkway, but so I just sort of, I'm just concerned, people's safety down there. That's all. It's just what I'm wondering about.
Okay, so board projects. Our dog park, we're having a catch up. Is it next week, Joe?
Yeah, through you, Chair. Yes. No, this week at 4 p.m. on Thursday.
Ooh,
Yes,
Thursday. Awesome.
our first catch up, and to go through. You're going to be there, Jared? Yeah, so we're having our first catch up to talk through what we may or may not like. And some information's already gone out to those people that have been asked to form part of the group. So that's Kat, Maren Brown. I've forgotten Peter's surname. Kat Crocker. Peter has the dog animal welfare man. Is that right? Yep. And myself and Katrina and Heather from the library. So that's our project team. Okay.
Awesome, thanks, Joe. discretionary fund. Did you, Joe, did you want to, with the discretionary fund, talk about the seat outside Ray White, or is that something different?
Yeah, no, that would be great. Yes, through you, Chair. I just noticed that the two little blue seats here outside Ray White, where the bus stops, the new bus that goes to Hamilton, plus what's our national bus system? Forgotten. Don't, intercity, don't use it. The little seats are really, really narrow, and we've round the back there, we've got underneath the bus cover there, around the back here of the Ray White building, you know, you've got a nice comfortable seat there covered. And I've noticed a few elderly people been waiting for the bus, and it's a really narrow little seat with no back. And it's like only two planks. And I just wondered if both those seats could be upgraded just to be a little bit more comfortable for people waiting for the bus.
So is that something that is on your plan, Jared? For those seats to get updated? Mark, do you know? No? So,
I don't think it needs to be discretionary fund.
you don't?
Should be, so it's right. But we'll estimate.
Okay, because honestly, they're, like Joe said, they're two planks, like they're two narrow planks, and there's people that use them every day. Yeah, so that would be fantastic if, staff would look at that as maintenance and not dip into our discretionary.
Do you want me to put in a service request?
No, that's fine. I'll make a note here and
Does anyone else have anything that they'd like to bring up with discretionary? No, so we just leave it sitting there. The resolution register. 095. Do I need to read them all, Kaya, or just the ones that are coming off?
If you just read the resolution.
Oh, okay. The staff recommendation is that the Ōtorohanga Community Board approve the removal of resolution 0106 from the register. No. Yeah, should be. It's wrong, Kaya. 0104 from the register, which is the Ōtorohanga Community Meter Water Charges. And I have a mover and a seconder for that, Pete and Kat, thanks. And there's all in favour? Aye. No public excluded. Pete, could I ask you to close our meeting, please? Thanking you.
Dear Lord, we just thank you for this time together again. Thank you, Lord, for this team, for everyone who works so hard to make things happen in this community of ours. Lord, I pray your blessing on all the discussions that we've had. Lord, I pray for your outworking and your provision to fulfill the things that we have thought about and talked about and desire to push forward. Pray your blessing on this team and on our community in Jesus' name. Amen.
And I declare our meeting closed. Thank you all.